We have a lot of idioms and terminology in our language that we use indiscriminately. We know what they mean, yet we don't. Many of these are outdated, yet we use them anyway. Today, I'd like to explore some of them. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Sane Life. On each episode of my weekly podcast, a different topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 14, Chapter 10.
Stop saying that.
Stop saying that!
The other day I'm paying for something at the drugstore and they scan my loyalty rewards card. Cashier says, "You've got $10 on your rewards card. You want to use it on this purchase?" Well, yeah, $10, oh yeah. The guy behind me, overhearing this, says, "Cha-ching." What was that you said? Cha-ching? Yeah, you just came into some cash, man. Cha-ching. No, I know, but what do you mean? Cha-ching. Cha-ching is the cartoon bubble type of sound that we attribute to the sound of a cash register. The sound that a cash register made like 50 years ago. They mostly just beep now. But we don't say, "Oh, some money, beep, beep." We say, "Cha-ching." We still say, "Cha-ching." There's a couple of generations of people already walking the planet who don't even know why we say cha-ching. But they do know that it means coming into money. There is a ton of examples of this kind of thing. It's amazing when you think about it. "Send the invite to the entire staff," says the boss, "and CC me on it." CC? What is it? We all speak Spanish and we're saying yes, yes? Oh, no. CC stands for carbon copy. This, too, a decades-old reference. It involves the practice of using a piece of carbon paper between two other sheets of regular paper, carbon paper, kind of an inked paper, so that when you typed or wrote on the first sheet, an exact copy was made on the second sheet because of the carbon paper. You ended up with the original and the carbon copy, CC. Today, even on our electronic applications, you can have a CC option. Why CC? Because it means I want a copy, too. We don't seem to care that its origins make it an outdated term. CC the staff. You want me to copy the entire staff? I'll need like 40 pieces of carbon paper. Do we even have that kind of budget? Speaking of which, this next thing isn't even something we say. It's more what we do. When we want to save a document on a computer, we can just click on that little squarish icon up at the top. You know what that icon is? It's a picture of a floppy disk. Because up until the 1990s, that's how you saved computer stuff. On an actual floppy disk. One that you inserted into your machine. That was then. This is now. Now there's no place to even put a floppy disk into your computer because there is no floppy disk. Yet, you can switch to the latest Microsoft operating system, and there will be that floppy disk icon. Mind you, I don't have a better idea for a save icon. What, a piggy bank? That's actually even worse. How about an open hand that when you click on it, it closes into a fist? Mean you saved it? Yeah, see, that's no good. I guess the point is, until we come up with a better icon, it's the antique floppy disk. It means save. And back to the language. Hey, are you watching Saturday Night Live? No, but I'm taping it. Taping it? Really? I'll bet you're not. You may be recording it, but you're not taping. People still say taping. And though it's not accurate, we know what they mean. Mom, did you see the lightning storm? I filmed the whole thing. I'm going to watch the footage later. There's no tape, there's no film, and there's no footage. Footage is feet-long reels of tape or film. That's where footage comes from. Even the professionals on TV still say it. The hurricane hit the coast. Here's some of the latest footage. Footage. Again, what else would you call it? Here's a clip, a scene, a segment. Maybe you could do that. I don't know. Here's some footage. The world has approximately 1.1 billion websites, digital platforms of information accessed on an electronic device. And what's the best way to keep track of your favorite websites? Bookmark them. Do you know what a bookmark is? Hell, fewer and fewer people even know what a book is anymore. Never mind a bookmark. What is a bookmark? It's a way to highlight your favorite website. Incidentally, have you ever asked anyone if they have a website and what is it? Maybe that's not a common experience, but I sure come across it all the time doing radio interviews. Well, that sounds great, Matilda. How do people find you online? And so many people still say, well, go to www. And then they pause, like someone is writing down www. Wait a second, slow down. Was that 2 W's or 3? I always want to just interrupt them right at that point and say, hold on, don't tell me. You're obviously too stupid to have a website. Forget it. Why don't you just start with, that's http://www. Yeah, people still say www. Oh, thanks a lot for that. Oh, no wonder I couldn't find you. I thought it was 6 V's. HTTP, by the way, it's a hypertext transfer protocol. And no one cares. What's your website? Licorice.com. Right. Got it. Thanks. I still hear people say, hang up the phone. I'm through talking to you. I'm hanging up. Hang up the phone? So what, take my iPhone 16, put a string around it, and loop it over a nail in the wall? Oh, I see you've hung up your phone. Yes, that's where I like to keep it when I'm at home. Mind you, I do miss the old-fashioned phone where you could really slam that receiver down, like really hang up on someone with a vengeance. And when you did, they damn well knew it. Not today. What are you going to do when you're angry? You're going to push that hang-up button really hard? That'll teach 'em. And again, speaking of icons, what is the phone icon on a slim, trim, rectangular smartphone? It's still the outline of a phone receiver that looks like it came from Alexander Graham Bell's original lab. Modern phone, but old, outdated icon. I even hear people occasionally still say, dial my number. Even more common, don't touch that dial. Stay tuned. Okay, listen, I'm not tuned. I don't even have a dial. What are you talking about? Here's another one. Are you busy? Oh, are you kidding me, man? I'm working around the clock. What do you mean, around the clock? Are you working within a general area of a clock? You are around a clock? Which would be handy because you could always just look up the time. I guess you're in the vicinity of a clock. Hey, what direction does the Earth spin? Counterclockwise. Okay, what are you telling me here in the 21st century? The clocks are round and they move in a particular direction? Wow, you're blowing my mind, man. I think we're well past all that round clockwise stuff. I mean, how quickly flow the sands of time. Hey, and you know that guy who's working around the clock? You know how he does it? He's dialed in. He also probably does not have a dial, but he's dialed in. How's that project coming, Dave? Oh, man, I'm dialed in. He dials in by tuning everything else out. I don't know. Do you ever watch any of those police traffic stop videos online? What is one of the first things they always say? Sir, I need you to roll down your window. Roll down my window. Couldn't I just use this button here? I mean, I'm trying to cooperate. Do they still even sell cars with a manual crank down window option? I don't think so. Speaking of which, cars used to have dashboards. It's where all of your gauges and vents and control devices were displayed. Cars don't really have dashboards anymore. They have a computer screen. And on the computer screen are the icons and symbols to indicate your options. And you know what they call that display? A dashboard. I heard this one on a football game just last week. The running back was tackled for a loss because he telegraphed his next move. In other words, he inadvertently alerted others to what he was going to do next. So they anticipated his action, which is really not what a telegraph ever did in the first place. But okay, telegraph, a quick way to send out a message. The telegraph first came out in about the 1830s, almost 200 years ago. It was outdated quickly by things like the telephone and the radio. Yet in 2024, careful, don't telegraph your next move. How about this? When you're not sure what's going to happen next, and in fact it could go either way, well, that's a coin flip. A tough decision. 50-50 chance. A coin flip. Bad news. Coins are already on their way out. Oh, I know there's still a few out there. There's souvenirs and collectibles and such. But day to day, coins? A coin flip? What does that even mean? The Canadian Mint recently released this new $2 coin. It honors the Canadian Air Force and its years of service. Look for the new Air Force coin in your change. Really? There's still change? People use cash and get coins in return? The Air Force has got to be, hey, thanks a lot for finally putting us on a coin at the exact time coins are on their way out. That's great. Means a lot. And you know, maybe you'd like to have one of these as a souvenir or a keepsake, but you're never going to get any change, so you go to the bank and you ask for one. The bank says, no, we don't have it, or if we do in our change, I don't know, we're not looking through all of our money just to get one for you. So in this country, you can buy coins at the post office. The people who make the coins and the post office. What a perfect marriage. It's like finding the perfect mate late in life. You know, I also like to buy my carbon paper at the same place I get typewriter ribbon. And of course, the good old post office. You know, they still honor people and things by putting them on a stamp, I guess. The other day they announced a Sarah McLachlan stamp, and she was there at the ceremony saying how much of an honor this was. Yeah, thanks for the stamp. This will really help promote my next concert tour. Although, full disclosure, I found myself mailing something the other day. I was at the post office. Well, the post office kiosk at the drugstore. Same lady that works the makeup counters, also trained in postal regulations. And I said to her, hey, do you have any Sarah McLachlan stamps? She said, we're sold out. Sarah McLachlan fans still use snail mail. Good to know. You know, they should put Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg on stamps. It could be part of a series of stamps of people who killed the need for stamps.
No, it's not debunk. It's totally bunk.
Isn't bunk bad? Like, that's a lot of bunk.
No, something is bunk, and then you debunk it.
What?
And hay. Do you know why we hit the hay? Because beds used to be made of hay? Yes, of course. But why do we encourage others to sleep tight? Because eventually we had mattresses, and the mattresses were supported by ropes, and the ropes would sag. So every once in a while you had to tighten the ropes. Tighter ropes, better mattress, better sleep. Sleep tight. Do you know what a stereotype is? No, not Apu from The Simpsons, but it was from the printing trade in the 1700s. A stereotype was a duplicate printing plate. How it eventually became a chubby Italian guy with a mustache who was a plumber in a video game, I don't know. But today, we use stereotype to mean those kind of people. Incidentally, while I'm here, I miss stereotypes. I mean, they still exist. You just can't mention it. I don't think I'm bigoted or prejudiced or anything like that. But I sure used to get a kick out of stereotypes. You know how they say cliches are cliches for a reason? I always felt the same way about stereotypes. But these days, it's easier to be offended than it is to be able to laugh at ourselves. Oh, hey, how's your cousin and his new girlfriend? Oh man, that's a real soap opera. By this, I think we mean daily drama, but early daily TV dramas were sponsored by soap companies. So we just say soap opera, and everyone seems to know what that means. But it goes back to the day that when you wanted to be heard above the crowd, you literally got up on a soapbox. In those days, some of the best prizes at the carnival on the boardwalk were not plush animals. They handed out cigars. If you didn't quite win the game, sorry buddy, close, but no cigar. People would literally get drummed out of the military. Drums would play. as you were disgracefully discharged. And on those days, you had to face the music. If you played the pipe organ at the church, first you had to pull out the plugs from the pipes that you were going to need. If you were going to play all of them, the whole thing, well, you pulled out all the stops. Those were the days when bean counters actually counted beans, sometimes well into the night. They burned the midnight oil. Salt used to be an antidote to certain poisons. So drink this, but take it with a grain of salt. And do as I tell you. I'm not just here to chew the fat. Ever seen the old pictures or even the footage of New York or Toronto or London way back in the day? Crowded streets filled with pedestrians and horses. Horses and wagons and carriages. Horses were what we had. So a lot of our stuff comes from horses. We still talk in terms of horsepower. Hold your horses there, mister. Well, I will if you get off your high horse. And that's right from the horse's mouth.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
That guy's got horseshoes. You know you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Well, that's a horse of a different color. You're flogging a dead horse. And that's closing the barn door after the horse has run out. You know why he's strong as a horse? Because he eats like a horse. And hey, I know you're chomping at the bit. But okay, enough horseplay. Stop horsing around. Like I said, the horse was a big deal. We were obsessed with it, and that's why it became a big part of our language.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed.
Eventually, of course, the horse replaced by the automobile. As pungent as old London might have been in the day, to go downtown with all those horses, all of that was replaced by tons and tons of fossil fuel emissions that are now killing us. Hard to say, but we may have been better off in the long run if we had stayed with the streets covered in horse shit. And hey, these are all just a few examples. There's tons more outdated terms and sayings, and we continue to use them because their adopted meaning still works for us. The origins don't matter. At best, the origins make for interesting answers on pub trivia night. Did you know that sleep tight comes from mattresses that were supported by ropes? And yeah, cat's out of the bag. It's a piece of cake. Don't throw in the towel. The ball's in your court. Stay cool as a cucumber. Bite the bullet, and I'll be there in a jiffy. Personally, I'm sure that in the near future, I will still tape my favorite show, hang up the phone, CC someone, and if lucky enough, come into some unexpected money, cha-ching. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is very outdated, lost its original meaning, and sometimes I wish we would just stop saying that.
Stop saying that!
But again, as I pointed out a few times, what would we replace these things with? I guess language just has to evolve at its own pace. You know what else they say about idioms, colloquialisms, maxims, axioms, adages, sayings, saws, terminology, even certain nomenclature, that all of this vernacular is simply the jargon and lingo of our modern parlance. Nobody says that. I just made it up.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.